Gabriella, we want your master checklist for test day. Tell me what you got.
Well, I think that there's the protocol checklist and there's also the personal checklist, right? Jessica and I have talked a little bit about this. The protocol really is, you arrive 30 minutes before your scheduled test, you check in a Prometric, you lock in your things in a locker, have to make sure to bring the correct identification, so your driver's license or your passport. The important thing here is that the name on that ID must match the name on your NCARB record. So if you're changing the name, make sure to match. Everything that you bring must fit inside the small locker that they give you, and they'll provide keys and lock and everything. You can bring food and water, but it has to stay in the locker aside from any scheduled breaks or any unscheduled breaks that you do take. You cannot wear any digital watches or analog watches, no Fitbits, no step counters. Basically, you enter through the metal detector, so be conscious of what you're going to wear so you don't have to spend time, taking everything off and putting things back on. And then reviewing notes and any other study materials is extremely prohibited. So there's no such thing as taking a break from the test and then going to your locker and pulling a study material. Just honestly, don't bring anything that might come up as a study material to the test center, because that's a risk that you take that you might not get to test. And of course, all of this aside, so important to take a good night's sleep the evening prior to the test. I've been one to feel exhausted in the middle of a test, and there's nothing worse than that. Make sure to eat, have food in your stomach, go in feeling energized and calm is quite important. Really only bring in the essentials, whatever you really feel like you need. And again, like, my advice is to just not bring any study materials. And yeah, have some confidence. Go in feeling strong and feeling that you know the content. And if you pass, then that's great. And if you fail, it's also okay.
Yeah, I love that last one there. That one's really good. Anything to add here, Jessica?
I just want to reiterate, as it's been sort of a recent issue with some candidates, the matching of your identification and your NCARB record. I think a lot of people have experienced situations where their driver's license says Jessica M. Parmenter on it, but their NCARB record says Jessica Parmenter. That's considered non-match. Or a lot of people who have recently gotten married, women who have changed their names. It's just making sure that all of your identification is matching. It's really just like any other, like going to the airport. You just got to make sure that it matches. So I know that it's been an issue for a lot of people lately, so definitely just double check that the name on your NCARB record matches all of your IDs. And yes, have lots of confidence in yourself. You're awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing how many folks we hear from who that's their problem, is just, finding that calm and focus, feeling confident going into this. As Mike Newman often says, again, I'm channeling my Mike, imagine yourself in your architecture firm and look around and look at some of those bozos who work at your firm who are licensed, right? That you're way smarter than. Like, they got licensed. Are you serious? Like, you can get licensed too. And the other thing here is, remember, they're not actually testing you to figure out if you're an expert. They're testing whether you, and we like to joke about it, whether you're minimally competent, which basically means they're just sort of testing the basics here. So they're not going to give you some like insanely complicated thing, but they're gonna test you in all the different basics. So with that, the last part here is, sometimes folks fail, and that's okay. Another Mike Newman channeling moment here is, he'll often say sometimes the best way to prepare for the exams is actually to take it and not really worry about whether you pass or fail, because actually that experience of knowing what it's like to be in the test center, knowing what the pressure of the clock feels like, going through the types of questions, kind of wrapping your head around the whole experience, helps you kind of understand wow, okay, like, these are reasonable questions. I can knock this out. So again, those are a couple of Mike Newman channelings there. Mike would be proud of me.